Hello and welcome to South Asia Chat, a podcast brought to you by the Institute of South Asian Studies at the National University of Singapore. My name is Mriganika Singh Tanwar, and I'm a research analyst at the Institute. I will be your host for today's episode, which looks at the emerging trends in India-Maldives ties. The diplomatic dynamics between India and Maldives have seen a significant fluctuation in recent months. The signs of strain when President of Maldives Mohamed Muizzu took office on an India Out platform were followed by overtures for rapprochement during his ongoing 5-day visit to India, where President Muizzu has been stressing the importance of closer bilateral ties between India and Maldives. The bilateral relationship when President Muizzu took office witnessed ties between the two countries getting strained in the backdrop of Malay inching closer to China, both economically and strategically. As part of his India out thrust, President Muizzu first demanded the removal of more than 80 Indian military personnel deployed in the Maldives to operate 3 aircraft. This was followed by remarks against Indian Prime Minister Modi made by junior ministers of his administration, which added fuel to the fire, and the ties plummeted further. However, with the recent visit, President Muizzu stressed India's importance as a valued partner in the region and set course to correct the bilateral ties. Joined with us today to speak more on this topic is Dr. Athaulla Rasheed, former Foreign Service officer and diplomat at the Maldives Ministry of Foreign Affairs. He also holds a PhD in political science from the University of Queensland in Australia, currently working with Australian National University on small state agency in the Indo-Pacific. Thank you, Dr. Rasheed, for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation. It's a pleasure.
My first question to you is, when President Mohamed Muizzu got elected to power after his party's prolonged India Out campaign, his administration was keen to reduce dependence on India. After almost a year of assuming power, he's on his first official state visit to India. What is the significance of this visit, and what do you think motivated Malay to shift its approach towards India?
Well, I think it's a very important question. And to start with, I think President Dr. Muizzu's visit to India is a very auspicious undertaking in this time, and looking at the geopolitical and geostrategic issues that's happening around the region as well, and also looking at the domestic factors following pre-election and also election, as well as after taking office. Like you just mentioned, there are significant things that observers could identify changing with new government coming to power. But then we see that there's also a trend that Maldives has always maintained good relationship with India, and it's an excellent partnership that has been there since establishment of diplomatic relations. So this visit is just another step towards further strengthening the existing relationships. And in foreign policy, we also consider domestic factors. That those are the domestic factors that we have seen pre-election and also following the election, and the changes that we have seen in the language of foreign policy between Maldives and India. So I think generally and overall, this is going to be a good start for the new administration to move forward with the existing cooperation, and also further strengthen through further bilateral engagements in the region.
Speaking of bilateral engagements, India recently agreed to negotiate an FTA with Maldives and further their discussion on trading in local currencies. Given the current economic situation in Malay, what will be the impact of an FTA domestically as well as regionally?
I think FTAs are designed in a way to facilitate economic and investment relationship between two countries. So as far as the negotiations are ongoing, and also the information that we receive through the visits, media, and also other sources, that the two countries are finding ways to improve the existing cooperation, and also the investment opportunities that they have between both. So FTA overall is going to be a positive thing, but there are other areas that we need to consider, and I'm sure the government will look into it in the Maldivian side that what are the institutional, other arrangements that need to be set up for improved or maybe increased engagement through an FTA coming into effect.
Certainly. During this visit, India managed to retrieve several initiatives, sectors, and projects that President Muizzu's administration pulled out when he assumed presidency. Do you believe this would give India a strategic leverage as the bilateral engagement with Maldives further develops?
Strategic leverage or strategic interest between the two countries are, I think, a mutual thing because for both countries, I think the security of the region is very important. And also for Maldives, it has been always very consistent in terms of maintaining that relationship with India despite government changes, with particular economic alignment with particular countries or change of foreign policy priorities during political terms. But what I'm saying is that as far as the strategic interests are concerned, the security of Indian Ocean is the key priority for both countries, as far as I understand. And for Maldives, I think this will be beneficial for Maldives because Maldives is a large ocean, small state. And this means the security and the strategic balance that Maldives actually tries to navigate in the Indian Ocean by establishing stronger links with India is going to be mutual, not in one-sided like advantage approach. And I think it's always the case that bigger or larger states with a strong resource base will always have an advantage to support and provide for the benefit and also supporting smaller states. In that aspect, Maldives is going to be negotiating and also coordinating a new cooperation arrangements to support the security and development interests of the country as well as the region.
India has expressed interest in infrastructure projects in Maldives, like developing the Dalhousie port and extending the Greater Malay Connectivity Bridge. So, Dr. Rashid, how do you think the current administration will consider these advances by New Delhi?
I think even since the coming to office of the new administration, for example, larger projects like Greater Malay Connectivity Project continued and it's still continuing. I think new visit and also the visits that actually happened before between senior officials and government level exchanges would further improve the avenues of cooperation. And this is going to, one thing, bring the two governments closer as well as people's understanding about how both the countries can support each other's development and security interests nationally and also regionally.
Dr. Rashid, can this renewed approach towards bilateral engagement with India result in tensions between Maldives and China? Or do you think Malay would be able to balance its relation with the two countries?
Yes, I don't think this is going to affect Maldives' relationship with China or any other country for that matter, because since coming to office again of President Muiz, I think the government was very clear on its foreign policy that it is not going to act as a balancing state that moves between the larger states that function within the region and also outside the region. So one of the key priorities was to focus on national interests and rather than taking any single country to be a foreign policy priority, Maldives would welcome any willing partner that promotes mutual interests and benefits at the national level as well as in regional level. Maldives' relationship with China has always been economic rather than strategic, because Maldives is a developing country that depends on development cooperation through foreign aid and foreign investments. So in that way, I don't think the relationship and the changes that Maldives that we foresee or would foresee would affect the relationship with Maldives' relationship with China. And the other thing is about balancing relationship between two countries. We have to also understand that there are different nuances used in terms of balancing its relationship. One thing is to have a balanced relationship with all states, and other aspect that actually looks at international relations is about trying to balance between two countries. So I don't think Maldives is going to be doing the latter one. Maldives is maintaining a balanced foreign policy approach that uh, does not necessarily favor one country, but there's always a priority and also importance given to the security of the region. And that means regional actors and working with the regional interests is important for the security of Maldives as well. So working with India will always be an important aspect of development and security cooperation in Maldives.
After President Muizzu's visit, both the countries have agreed on increasing political engagement, developing partnerships, capacity building, people-to-people relations, business engagement, as well as digital connectivity. In the light of the ongoing financial crisis in Maldives, how imperative is India's economic engagement? And what do you think can be expected in future with their bilateral relationship?
I think one of the most important things, the relationship between the two countries, Maldives and India, which we have highlighted here as one of the aspects, people-to-people relations. I think that is one of the cornerstones of relationship between the two countries for a long time. People-to-people connection and people-to-people engagement between the two countries have been a driver of past, present, and also for any future developments that's going to happen in terms of what Maldives is going to gain from India, what India is going to gain from Maldives. And in terms of economic engagement, I think this will all depend on what people actually desire for the countries in both ends. So governments work in terms of political and policy interests, but a nation basically functions with the interest of the people, and this has been very much a primary factor that's influencing the relationship between the two countries. So India's economic engagement in Maldives is going to be very relevant, because Maldives is not only a developing country that depends on foreign aid and other countries, but Maldives is also a country that represents a very high industry like tourism industry that competes with the global markets. And that is an important strategic development and also security interest for Maldives to make sure that the relationship the Maldives and its people maintain with the foreign countries is a key function of foreign policy making. So economic cooperation is one way to support these avenues in Maldives, as well as a country that has an advanced industry could be beneficial for India in return to engage economically. That's going to overall support the stability and peace in the region with countries coming together.
Thank you, Dr. Rasheed, for sharing your insights on South Asia Chat.
Thank you for your questions, and I think it's very interesting. Thank you.
You were listening to South Asia Chat. To learn more about our work, please visit us on our website, isas.nus.edu.sg. You can also get updates through our social media. We are on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. South Asia Chat is also on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Thank you.